or something.
Well, let me just do a little sip first.
Yeah, it's kind of bad luck, but I gotta see if these are finally.
Wait, it's bad luck? Explain.
Well, I just taking it because we're gonna cheers.
Looks like you drank about a quarter of your bottle already.
Yeah, but that's like pre you getting here.
You want to talk about bad luck?
Yeah, well, I had to. If I was gonna see you, I needed to. Have
Need all the
some
luck
caffeine.
you could get.
Yeah, it's kind of dark today.
It is. It's been like weirdly cloudy.
I was more so saying like your
Energy, sure. Yeah, of course.
It's kind of dark.
Ditto. It is my pronoun. All right,
okay.
shall we?
Oh no.
Miss Thing.
Greg.
Miss Thing.
I thought this was a duet.
Oh,
so you're just gonna sing all the parts? Those are not the right sounds. Can you hear me?
Miss Thing. Oh, Miss Thing.
Bonk. Welcome to Miss Thing.
I'm Greg.
And I'm Tim, and this is a podcast that celebrates and appreciates the Miss Things of the past, present, and future.
Yeah, each week we take a core cultural memory from our Miss Thing storied career and do sort of what we excel at, which is make it all about us.
Something that really it's the only thing we're good at.
Yeah, I'd say.
Yeah.
On my resume, that's sort of like under my only skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, next to my college and my skill, making everything about me.
Do you still have your college on your resume?
Do I have my college? Yeah,
because
I
have that on my resume recently, and then I was like, in our profession, like, I'm almost like, is that like embarrassing? It's like you should just have the shows you've worked on, in the sense of, like, I was like, is this like I should be filling that with something else? Because not that obviously we just got out of college, but at this point it's
right,
so long.
This
point it's like so long ago that it's like it feels like so like you're listing your college. Do people do that still? I don't know. In our industry, not in other industries.
In our industry, well, I feel like it's sort of at least important to sort of list. I think depending on maybe where you go, but I feel like you went also for film and television.
Yeah.
Like I went for music. Imagine what people think. They're like, what is that?
Well, mine was very like, I have on it like magnum cum laude. Is that clearly I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Magnum cum laude. Yeah.
Cum laude.
Sure.
Clearly.
Yeah, I can't get past the like middle, like the connective tissue of that.
Wait, how do you say it? Magnum cum laude?
I think it's magna cum laude.
Well, whatever.
Yeah, well, I wasn't that. How would I be expected to learn how to pronounce it?
I achieved it, never learned how to pronounce it, and then now it feels so embarrassing in a sense of like, why do you have that on there? Like, who are you trying to impress?
Yeah, that little detail I think you could probably, sort of
make it
rid
bigger.
of. Put it instead of your name at the top.
Because you know that like when I'm going out for a TV show, they're like, ooh, magnum cum laude. We have to have this person.
Yeah, and I say this with nothing but utter respect for the people, that I work with and that we work with in our industry. I don't know if they necessarily like think of intelligence first. When it comes to sort of like being right.
That's clear because they're hiring us.
Right. Yes. Yes.
And we are thankful for that.
We appreciate, we love you for that. Thank you so much. So I have a serious bone to pick with you.
Oh God, here we go.
Yeah. So this week I did the bravest thing a person could ever possibly do, which was post on Instagram to grid. Mind you.
Okay.
I post about once every like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
It is a big to do.
No.
It's one of the most. I don't know
where this is going.
It's one of the most like selfless, sort of like bravest things imaginable.
As someone who's not on social media, sounds terrifying to post.
Yeah. So
I think
I post, and not 2 minutes later, I get a message from someone I personally don't know well, but was introduced to me through you. And, I've said on this podcast, I've actually begged you to sort of agree that I get told, kind of frequently that I look like Ryan Gosling, which you are more than welcome to.
I see it. I do see it.
But you don't necessarily.
But no, I just think that there's someone else that you look more like. Okay.
Regardless.
Okay.
Moments after I post, I'm feeling very raw, very exposed, and your friend, not gonna say their name, sends me a message out of nowhere and says, "You look like Armie Hammer."
Now,
Famed cannibal Armie Hammer.
I do see
You see
Armie.
it. You
I
see
see it, but this is the thing.
Is it the vibe or is it the look?
Definitely the vibe.
Okay, sure.
But also, Armie. Okay, yes, we know that he is a famous cannibal.
Yeah, modern day Hannibal Lecter.
But also that doesn't take away.
Which is a role I think he'd be really good at, actually.
Yeah, but he's too busy. I think like buying and selling houses on some island now. I believe is what he's.
Oh,
switched.
right, he's selling timeshares. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe it's the timeshare salesman in me.
Yes, that does kind of feel like what you're like 2 seconds away from doing at all times.
Post strike, sure. Yeah. I'll take what I can get.
But I think, listen, it doesn't factually. If you're just looking at a picture of Armie Hammer and you're not thinking about his actions, he is a hot man.
Okay, wow. Okay, here this is feeling a little bit better. Like I'm sort
well,
of
it wasn't the text. Hers wasn't like, wow, the energy you're giving off is Armie Hammer.
Let's him or her or they. We don't need to be narrowing down, who did it.
Yes, you're right.
So I appreciate so much to hear the word hot being used because when I was actually sort of going back to my youth, when I had my first boyfriend in high school, I would sort of like beg him to say I was, brag. It is a brag. And
actually, it is a brag to have a boyfriend in high school at that time, like back in the 80s, it was in
the 1900s. I famously boyfriend also named Greg.
Wait,
boyfriend
I don't think
twin,
you've ever actually told me.
Boyfriend twin name edition.
Now, who was the hotter Greg?
Well,
I
don't know. Maybe him because he refused to call me hot. He used to say I was cute. He said, "You're more like Jack. Jack's cute. Will is hot."
I don't. Same. I don't. When someone, because I feel like I give off kind of like a boy next door vibe. So I think sometimes guys will be like, "You're so cute," and I'm like, "No, I do not take this lightly. I want to be called hot."
Yeah, But look, we're both hot, and that's why we are coming at you in an audio medium.
Because hot people, what they do to show off is it's just like radio voices. Yeah, podcast voices.
We have faces for pod.
Oh, that was the working title. And actually, that trademark that. No one else is allowed to take that. Face for pod.
Because we are also lawyers. Well, we're studying to be because, the industry is very dire at the moment.
And I could be a lawyer very easily because I graduated magna cum laude.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. Do you have a doll of the day, mother of the moment, sister of the second? That's the thing that obviously we're super obsessed with at the moment. The person, place, or thing that's happening most for us right now.
Or for short, Dod Mom Sauce.
Dod Mom Sauce.
And my doll of the day, mother of the moment, sister of the second, is actually, and you know this well, some would say that you might actually know it more than I do, although I disagree, is my mother's funfetti bars that she sent me this past week.
Oh, yeah.
And listen, they were sent to me for my birthday. She knows that I love funfetti. Mm-hmm. And so every year she'll kind of send at first it was like a funfetti cake, and then it was like funfetti cookies, and now it's turned into these funfetti bars.
Funfetti is famously the greatest flavor of cake.
100%.
Yeah.
And I'm not a big cake person, but if it's funfetti, I'll eat the whole thing.
Sure.
But my mom sent me 2 huge batches of them. And while they do kind of look, and I love you, Mom, but they didn't, because they were shipped, they were a little kind of like
shifted.
They'd been through it.
The wig had shifted, as I famously said the other night.
The bars kind of became my thing last week because I brought them to so many social events because people were eating them little by little, and I had so much of them so that by the time, and we'll get to it, but I had a party on Saturday night. Yeah. I had them, and I think everyone everyone had already seen them at least once or twice by the time I got to that last party. And they're like, when will this end?
Yeah.
When will our national nightmare end?
Yeah, they were sort of at every single event for the last 2 weeks.
And normally I'm like, I would get the hint if they weren't going, but they were going just slowly. You know what I mean? It was just like a row would go, and the next party another row, and it was going and going. And I would eat it too, even though I know what you're gonna say, which is you're saying I wasn't eating any of them.
You were not.
I was. I just wasn't eating them every time I was around you because, like, believe it or not, sometimes you'll leave and then I'll have some.
Sure. Well, I exhaust your energy, and you need to replenish.
Yeah.
Well, those bars are, as in your mother's own words, rich.
Very rich. Just like
Both.
my mother. Very rich.
Very rich. Just like your family.
Yeah. I come from a lot
of money.
As you can tell from
Old
this.
money. Sort of Army Hammer level.
Yes, exactly.
You know.
That's why I only have positive connotations with Army.
Yeah, you did sort of have nothing but sort of rave reviews about Army, which I appreciate.
If someone said you, nothing else but said you look like Army Hammer, that to me is a compliment. Not you act like Army Hammer.
My ankle just snapped off. My ankle just
Oh,
snapped.
it's going to be a good pod.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll hear or see the hummingbird at some point.
Yeah, good pod. My ankle is dislocated.
Okay, I don't even know if I made... So really just, I wanted to give a shout out to the funfetti bars because it really did the trick so much so that people got annoyed of them, but while still eating them.
No, I have to really shout out your mom because those bars were absolutely outstanding. The wig had shifted. In transit.
And also by the time it got to the last event... Not only had it shifted, it had gone upside down and through it. They did not look good, and people were still eating them, which goes to the taste.
Well,
that rich taste.
Well, funfetti is famously so like beautiful to look at. So I think like no matter what sort of final form it took, it was still sort of sparkling, and I will give it that. I do want to say,
okay,
those bars absolutely delicious. They had an added benefit, sort of Napoleon film-esque, in the sense that they sort of put me immediately to sleep after even considering taking a bite. And which that is actually amazing.
Well, and that is also why I know you accuse me of never eating them, is just the couple times that I have offered them to you, I was abstaining because I knew that we had work to do, and if I had them, I would be utterly useless, which I normally am, but even more useless than what you know me as.
Yeah. Oh, well, I salute you for doing the hard work of not eating those bars.
It was really selfless of me.
Yeah.
Do you, Greg Trimmer, have a doll of the day?
I'm just going to go ahead and cut to the chase, abbreviate it. Dog Mom sauce. Put it on a t-shirt, put it on a hat. We're going to put it on a t-shirt and a hat, not you. Yeah. Okay?
Trademark, and we'll come. We're lawyers.
We are lawyers. Yeah. And our lawyers, us, will write you.
Yes.
A cease and desist. Do I have a Dog Mom sauce? Actually, funny enough, it's also of the dessert variety. Varietal.
Okay. Wow, twins.
Yeah. Actually, this week I went ahead and I do this from time to time.
Okay.
You know, you're scrolling through TikTok or social media. Actually, you probably don't know any of this, but people post sort of like healthier desserts or like sort of like dessert monstrosities, as I like to say. And there was a thing that went viral, and it was silken tofu chocolate mousse.
Okay.
I have to say, it was so easy to make. It absolutely slaps. It tasted delicious.
I'm not to cut you off. I'm just kind of like, it feels like this past week we've been together a lot, and I've offered a lot of sweets and desserts to you. And to find out live on pod that there was a dessert that you made yourself.
Yeah.
And I wasn't offered, it wasn't talked about until now. It feels like, thank God I'm sitting down.
I've sort of given you nothing in return.
Yeah.
In a way.
And now for you to say that it was like the best thing you've had in the past week, it feels... Okay, good. That was actually a test.
Not in the week of our Lord and Savior funfetti bars.
Thank you.
And then I ate it all.
By yourself?
Well, I famously shared it with my
husband.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just laughed there because it felt like you were forgetting your husband's name, but I think maybe maybe you just didn't want to dox your husband.
Yeah, I need a little modicum of privacy.
Yeah, even though I think I've said his name many a time.
Well, we have, just I need a little bit of a private life from the constant onslaught. I'm recognized everywhere I go from our millions of listeners.
From everyone, every time you step out of the house and they go, Ryan Gosling?
and now they go, Army Hammer? Yeah, they scream and run away.
People actually, you walk out the door and people start screaming and bloody, and you go, that's so sweet. They think I look like Armie Hammer.
I sort of need to reframe it in a way.
Yeah. You're like, when people look at me and scream in horror, that's a compliment.
So they think I'm hot.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I would take it too. If someone's, the only way you can take being called Armie Hammer is a compliment. Looks wise. I need to emphasize looks wise.
Yeah, you know what? You've really got me coming around.
Should we take a break and then get into
Miss Thing?
Yes.
We're back.
Wow. I don't want to. A lot of stuff happened off air that I'm just like reeling from.
We're sort of. It's all been laid on the line, and we're sort of recovering.
Let me just say, Greg laid into me about the Armie Hammer stuff, and he really didn't appreciate that.
Yeah, I started nibbling on your toesies.
Yeah, you can't actually see my toes anymore. I'm sure you can see them at all times.
Yeah, you could definitely. You're very foot forward on this pod.
Definitely.
Here we are.
Shall
we get into it?
Let's get into our Miss Thing of the Week.
Who is none other than
Sandra Oh. Okay. This woman is truly, like, she does not get appreciated enough, in my opinion. She has been in such seminal films. The Princess Diaries. Sideways. Grey's Anatomy. Killing Eve.
She's been in a lot. What else?
Under the Tuscan
Lady too? Under the Tuscan Sun.
And she's currently in The Sympathizer on HBO. I read that book.
Oh.
I actually didn't love the book, but I know many people did.
Okay. Not for you?
Yeah, not for me. We don't need to get into it. But I actually I was like, I don't think I'm going to watch the show. And then I found out Sandra Oh was going to be in it. And I was like, maybe.
See, Sandra, maybe. See, Sandra Oh has the distinct pleasure of being an actress who I will go to bat for. Mm-hmm. I will say she is so talented, like truly one of the best actors of our generation. And I will sort of famously have only seen her in two things.
Well, she kind of gives off that thing where it's like she immediately implants, is that the right word, on you? Imprints on you.
Yeah.
She makes you want to get
Thank God for me.
Thank God for you. She makes you want to get implants.
It's a combination of her and the show True Life that made me want to get calf implants.
Oh my God.
Which, by the way, I'm sure she's been in True Life.
Wait, is that also the same? I could be completely going left here, but is it the same thing? It's like, I want the perfect body, right? A True Life, I want the perfect body. And he wanted that, and I think he also had his dad shave his ass in the... Do you remember what I'm talking about?
That episode was...
hot. And that imprinted on me to get implants. And Greg and I famously both have calf implants.
Yeah. That's where we spent our first million on calves.
And that's actually, when we said earlier that we met at CBS as assistants, we actually met in the hospital wig where we were both getting our calf implants.
Yeah, very Seattle Grace, which we will definitely get it to. Before we actually go into that.
Okay.
You said something that shocked me to my core yesterday, which was, when we were deciding on who our amazing Miss Thing is, a little behind the scenes. Yes. We were deciding on who our Miss Thing is. You brought up Sandra Oh, which thank you for the brilliant idea. And you said you got the idea because you saw she was promoting a new Broadway play with Paul Giamatti.
Yes. And I know what you're doing here, which is you're trying to get me to remember the name of that.
Oh, no. I actually specifically, I'm so glad that you bring this up because I wanted you to not know the name.
Okay.
And I want to do a thing where we guess the name and what it's about.
Okay, I love this.
Yeah.
I have a feeling it's like pure drama, no comedy.
Huh. Okay.
And I think it's called like something like Marry Up the Vine.
Okay. Okay. Marry up the vine. Marry up the vine. What's it about?
I think it's her and she is entering, she's had a mental break. And she is now finds herself in a retreat center. And that's kind of, she's up the vine. It's like,
Sure,
in
up
this,
the
up the
vine.
vine is like in this world what they say when someone has
Is
lost it, you know?
Is that an actual phrase, or did you just make that
I
up?
just made it up, but
Wow.
I feel like I constantly want to say Greg is up the vine.
Fine, sure. Yeah.
And then Paul Giamatti is the like very like no nonsense kind of. It's basically his part in the Holdovers, but it's him coming in. He is all business.
Gonna tie into mine as well.
All business.
Keep that in your mind.
Yeah, he definitely, one of his eyes is not looking in the right direction.
That's sort of, he can help that.
I was also, when I saw the Holdovers, I was convinced that was his actual eye, and then everyone I was watching was like, no, that is like special effects or a contact. But it's actually special effects. I really thought that his eye was lazy.
I didn't even notice.
You didn't notice
difference.
You didn't notice that? Did you not notice the eye?
I thought it was just sort of Paul doing Paul.
See, that's what I thought, and they're like, that's so offensive. And then if you watch during award season, he doesn't have a lazy eye. Yeah.
Okay.
Anyway, so he comes back into
the vine.
Yeah, he comes back into the center, and he is like they're really good. He's the one who's trying to get her better, and she doesn't want it, and they have a really contentious relationship. And then by the end, she really appreciates how hard and tough he was on her,
right.
and then they have this, not a love affair, but just like they like have the most love and respect, and she would have died if it wasn't for him.
Wow.
Yeah. Oh, what is your name and what is it about?
Oh, okay. So I have two names.
Okay.
So we're on complete opposite ends of the spectrum. I think it's like something either like really pretentious, like, but kind of like silly, like the agony and the irony.
Okay.
Or something even like more pretentious, like a one-word name, like Mirth. And I think
I need to know immediately what Mirth is about.
Well, okay, so here is. I think it's a comedy.
Okay.
I think but it's like one of those like highbrow comedies, like for people who like aren't actually that like kind of funny, but like think they.
It's like you go to dinner afterwards at a really expensive restaurant because those are the only people who can afford going to the show.
Yes.
And you have to like, this is what I thought it was about. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Oh my God. Yes. And it's very like, so I think it takes place in like academia.
Okay.
And it could go one of two ways. Like, so academia, Holdovers, it's just very like,
and also The Chair, Sandra Oh, that Netflix show, The Chair, where she was in academia as the chair of some college. I never watched it.
Interesting that you pointed that out because of course your favorite. Of course I knew about that show. It's one of my favorite things to say. I'm gonna watch that one day, which is sort of Sandra Oh's thing. Mm-hmm. So they're either a married couple, upper class, obviously, and they're having an issue with their son. At the school, they need to sort of go, a young upstart, like a Broadway, like Taylor Trench or something. Okay. Even though
lost me, but I bet he's great.
Yeah, he's great. I'm trying to think. Well, we would maybe need like a Charles Melton because maybe I don't know.
We saw him recently.
We did see him.
Sorry, tangent. Go back to your.
I want to go into that. Okay, back to Mirth. Back to Mirth. The agony and the irony.
Yeah.
And they're sort of like at war with the school, or they both work at the school. Sandra is sort of like a headmistress, not getting the respect she sort of deserves from this. Like,
this is The Chair, but keep going.
Is this The Chair? Oh, okay.
I actually never watched it, but the trailer seems that sentence is The Chair, I believe.
Oh, yeah. And I had to be very careful to not make any comparisons between the two, as I want to respect.
Yes.
But yeah, so it's an academia, upper class. It's definitely like uproarious.
Okay.
Kind of farcical a little bit. Lots of big words. Sandra Oh definitely has a scene in it where she's like crying in a big way, but it's like funny at first.
Yes.
And then it like turns serious and she like really like kind of punches you in the gut with the cry. And then it ends with like a big joke, like a big funny moment. And that's the scene that everyone
That
like
she wins
critics,
her Tony for.
Yes, critics and audiences alike are going to be raving about that scene for months to come. But ultimately, I do think it's going to be kind of a forgettable night at the theater.
But yeah, you don't remember the, like 10 years from now, you like, what was it called? But then you think of the scene. And you're like,
The scene.
But that scene.
And it's the scene that like won her the Tony or almost won her the Tony. Paul will be nominated. Mm-hmm. Paul will be nominated.
I think Paul is not only nominated, he wins, and he's only in it for 10 minutes. She's in it for like the whole thing, doing all the hard work, you know?
Sure.
She just gets nominated. And he's in it for the like either the first 10 minutes or the last 10 minutes, and like really makes you like a sucker punch to the gut. And you're like, cool, well, great, you have 10 minutes and you win the award, you know?
Okay. Wait, should we look it up live on pod and actually discover what it is?
Yes.
Okay.
Look it up. While you're looking it up, I do want to say that when you were saying the crying thing, it made me think of her famous season 3 Grey's Anatomy scene where, did you watch Grey's Anatomy?
The first 3 seasons.
Yes. Where like Isaiah Washington leaves at their wedding.
Oh, that's a name I forgot about.
I know, and she's in her wedding dress, and like Ellen Pompeo comes in. I think it's like the last scene of the finale, and she starts sobbing, and she's like, "I'm free, I'm free," and she's like, "Damn it!" And then Ellen Pompeo has to hold her, and she's crying. It literally is one of the best pieces of acting. It really is the scene that she should have won an Emmy for.
Okay, I'm listening, and I agree with that.
I want to see your face here.
I am not seeing information about Broadway.
Broadway?
Show.
No, she was just on Colbert talking about that it's in previews.
I'm seeing that Sideways is being made into a musical.
Sandra Oh. Do you say Broadway?
Yes.
Sandra Oh. Maybe do play. Sandra Oh to star in off-rate. Okay, literally, how hard did you? I sit for 1 second. Okay, I'm coming for Greg live on the
Sandra Oh, Paul Giamatti, Broadway, off Broadway, The Welkin.
Do you know what? The Welkin is very close to Mirth.
And I'm not seeing Paul Giamatti anywhere.
Well, she talks about it on Colbert.
The Welkin.
The Welkin was the Tony. Okay, this is okay. Oh wait, no, that's her old play. The Welkin will feature sets by Dots. Okay, that's really
Just
okay. So
sets?
I don't think we know what it's about. It's not saying exactly what it's about. We're gonna cut this.
Okay, everyone.
Dale Sewell's. Okay.
What?
Dale Sewell's is on Digman, the show that I write on, and she's she's fantastic in the show. She's on Orange Is the New Black. She's the older woman, with like the really deep, like smoky voice. There's so many people on Orange Is the New Black who has that, but anyways, we'll cut this.
We'll cut that. Yeah, we'll cut that. Wait, so what we've talked far too long about Sandra herself. We need to make this about us.
Yes.
So like, what's your deal?
When I came to California with my family as a 11-year-old boy or somewhere around there, we did the classic thing, which is to go to Hollywood Boulevard. You look at the stars, and at that time,
dream about your future living on that road.
We're walking by the El Capitan Theater, and we're like, "What's this hubbub? What's happening?" And then it's like, "Oh, some of the people are like waiting to see someone in the like on a red carpet," and we're like, "Okay, I guess we should all like see what's going on." We literally thought it was like the opening of a play or something, and then it turns out it was the premiere of Princess Diaries.
Whoa!
We stumbled upon the premiere of the OG, not the sequel, the first Princess Diaries.
Yeah.
Literally
starring my famous neighbor growing up.
Anne Hathaway.
Well,
literally
she lived a few towns over, but
I saw Anne Hathaway before she was, like, no one knew who she was. We were just like, who's that girl? Smiling, taking some photos.
Sure.
Julie Andrews is a big moment. And Sandra Oh, obviously.
This is a film I have not seen.
You have not seen The Princess Diaries?
It's psychotic to say.
I actually can't believe I'm doing a podcast with someone who's never seen The Princess Diaries.
Miss Thing movie night, add it to the list.
Oh my God, it's so good.
And Anne Hathaway, famously, you then modeled your whole personality after hers, you know, sort of on her campaign trail for the Oscar in terms of likability.
Yeah, exactly.
Sure.
100%. But I also, could not be aging more beautifully I'm obsessed with how she looks. And I think most people say that about me.
Of course, the pendulum has swung. Yeah, most people love to like share videos of you sort of like sexily dancing in Italy.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Okay, but so this takes me to I'm on Hollywood Boulevard at a couple in my mid-20s. Just yesterday, I was an Uber driver for a little bit of time. If you remember this phase,
I do remember this phase.
so I would before when I was working for these two writers, I was not getting a lot of money and I needed to
Sure.
supplement it. So I was an Uber driver from 7 to 10 in the morning before I had to get to work.
Oh,
And
I
so,
remember this.
yes,
Yeah.
and you pick up a lot of interesting people, let's say.
Sure. At that time of day in particular in Los Angeles.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot of walk of shames at that time of day, but they're
Sure.
not drunk, which I liked. Where I was like, okay, these people are just like wanting to be left alone and like leave whoever they had slept with's house and be taken back to their house to think about what they have done.
Yeah,
in
they
silence.
did not want to talk,
Yes.
and that worked.
And I loved that. And so that was kind of my thing. It was like, I'm friendly and I can talk if you want, but I really don't want to. So this man, very hot man, may I say, gets into my Uber driver.
Love
or
that.
into my Uber driver.
Into your Uber driver.
Gets into my car.
Like where this is going.
So this very hot man gets into my car.
Mm-hmm.
And I at first I'm like, this guy must be an actor or maybe in porn or something. But
Sure.
I also there's something about him that feels like scary.
Kind of like Armie Hammer.
Yes, yes. And honestly, picture Armie Hammer. It's not
Sure.
Armie Hammer.
Okay.
But we'll say for this story that it's Armie.
Okay.
So then
Armie Hammer's in your
Armie's
car.
in my car, and he immediately starts doing like, man, oof, and doing the thing that you do when you're trying to goad someone into being like,
Conversation.
What's wrong, or like, what's that over there, you know?
Yeah.
And he's like, I just feel so bad for her. And I, by the way, do not. I'm kind of. He's in the back seat. I'm driving. I'm kind of making it seem like, oh, the music is. I'm only really hearing the music. And then he says it again. Man, I feel so bad for her. So then I'm like, oh, is everything all right? You know, Greg's shoulder just popped.
Snapped off. Didn't want to interrupt your story yet again.
And so then I'm like, yeah, is everything all right? And he goes. Yeah, I'm sleeping with this girl. And
Okay.
she's so in love with me. She loves our sex, but I don't want to see her again. Which is just like a crazy opening line.
That is an insane opening line at 7:15 a.m.
Yeah. And so then I'm just like, okay, well, how do I? He clearly wants to talk, but I don't know how to respond, engage in this way. So I was like, oh, like, are you on your way to work? Are you going home? And he goes, I'm on my way to work. Then he starts to immediately talk about how he's an actor, and I'm like, I knew it. He was an actor. And then he kind of isn't. I can tell he doesn't really want to talk about his roles, and I'm like, he does look familiar, but I also don't feel like he's that famous. But I'm like, yeah, I've probably seen him in something. I then cut to the end. I end up dropping him off at Hollywood Boulevard at the Kodak Theater.
Okay.
And he has a duffel bag of stuff. So I don't know, but I'm like, what type of actor gets like dropped off at the Kodak Theater at 7:30 in the morning other than like those Spider-Man people or whatever? I mean,
The
maybe
Jack Sparrows of it all.
Maybe he had a like meeting somewhere nearby.
Yeah.
But I was like, okay, so this guy's lying. He's not a real actor maybe, and then I was like, wow, this is like such a sad ending to the story. It's like dropping off like a Spider-Man impersonator to Hollywood Boulevard, like such a bookend to my first time on Hollywood Boulevard. Anyways,
Well, we love him and we celebrate him.
how do you make Sandra Oh all about you?
Well, as I told you, Sandra Oh is, someone that I ride and die for, and also famously have only seen in two things. One being, of course, the first 3 seasons of Grey's Anatomy, and the other being, more recently, in a guest spot playing a porn star on 6 Feet Under.
6 Feet Under is so good.
So
Yes.
amazing, which I'm famously watching for the first time in this our year 2024.
Okay.
Do not yell at me.
I'm not gonna yell at you. I'm actually very excited, and I can't believe you haven't been like texting me more about it.
No, it's the greatest show of all time.
So
It's unbelievable. It's changing my life. And Sandra Oh had a very like funny little guest spot where she was sort of doing like, she was doing little like porny jokes while she gave a speech at like a fellow.
She was
adult
preparing
film
for
actresses.
Mirth.
She was preparing for Mirth, or what is it called? The Witcher?
The
Welkin. Okay, great. Which
Christopher
doesn't,
Welkin.
which it does not sound like Paul Giamatti's in, but we honor him anyway.
He is in it.
So, but since I've only seen her in two things, I do sort of want to go, and one of them being Grey's Anatomy, famous medical show. I decided I kind of want to go through a little bit of my own medical history and my brushes with hospital visits and near hospital visits.
Wow, we're gonna get multiple.
So it all starts, in 8th grade. I got an emergency appendectomy. Sort of famous, people sort of like have that at some point in their lives. Then, of course, followed up by my second hospital visit when I was I think it was in my early 20s or late teens. I got the famous thing, a UTI, which, men too can get.
Yes.
I got it on Thanksgiving night, so I sort of spent the night in the hospital because I was like, I'm dying.
You can go to the hospital for UTI?
Well, I had to because it was Thanksgiving night at like 10 p.m. and all of a sudden, like everyone cover your ears, peeing blood.
Wait, I'm not going to derail your story, but I also have had medical emergencies twice famously on Thanksgiving night.
It's the only time that anything happens medically.
And it's always, everything's closed, so it's impossible.
Right. So you have to go to the hospital. You have to go to the emergency room, and that's the only night that anyone else has any issues. So they're like, everyone who's anyone is at the hospital on Thanksgiving night.
Yes. And if you haven't been to the hospital on Thanksgiving night, we feel sorry for you.
Yeah, you have not lived. And you may not live past next Thanksgiving night. When
everyone go to the hospital this Thanksgiving.
Yeah, no matter whether you're sick, injured, or not. Just go.
Yeah.
And then, of course, famously, there was the third time where I was almost hospitalized when I got an abscess after going in the water at the Florida beach.
Okay, and I obviously know what an abscess is, but...
It's an infection that could take your life if not treated.
Wait.
It's sort of like an open wound on the body.
Wait, how did you get that?
I went in the ocean in Florida.
But I'm saying then did like something sting
I'm
you
not sure.
or a rock hit you? Or?
I'm not sure how that happened, but all I know is that I got an antibiotic shot in my ass, which if you've never had that done, the sensation can only be described as like getting quick drying cement injected into your body. Which I would recommend.
Yes, and this does explain a lot of your personality.
That cleared things up a lot. So I just wanted to go through like my medical history for everyone at home.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Shall we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Okay, we're back.
We're back.
Now, normally this is a time when we'd sort of be moving on, but I still want to, there's something about Sandra Oh that I've been thinking about. Okay. And I wanted to, and it sort of got me thinking, and I'd love you to answer, is she funny or serious?
Both.
You have to pick one.
That's not, you needed to set the rules of the game.
Well, this is, okay, this is a new game.
Okay.
Funny or serious?
Funny or serious? Okay, I full-throatedly believe both, but if there's a gun to my head,
have to pick one.
Then
gun to your head.
I'm gonna say serious because the way that she makes you cry when she cries is there's very few people who can access that and make you feel that and also consistently do that.
Sure.
And she elevated Grey's Anatomy. Not those first 3 seasons. I mean, she was on it for longer than that, but we only famously watched the first 3 seasons.
Yeah, no, there was. I mean, it's in season 48 now, and we wish it so well.
Yes.
No, but this is a game that I wanted to play. Funny or serious?
Okay.
You have to pick one.
Okay. First thing that comes to mind.
Quick. Jennifer Lawrence. It's hard. It's a hard game.
I'm gonna say serious as an actress.
All right. That's all you get.
Yeah.
Honestly. Sandra Bullock.
Funny.
Okay. Emma Stone.
Funny.
Octavia Spencer.
Funny.
Okay. Kelly Clarkson.
Serious.
Millie Bobby Brown.
I'm gonna say serious.
Yeah,
I'm not gonna. I kind of.
You have to answer.
Serious.
Okay. All right. Nathan Fielder.
Funny.
Serious for me, but
Okay.
I'm not the one
Yeah.
playing. Robert De Niro.
Serious.
Emily Blunt.
Ooh.
So hard.
Serious.
Rita Ora.
Serious.
Ryan Gosling.
Funny.
That's really a nice thing to say about my doppelganger. Self-appointed. Drew Barrymore.
Funny.
Reese Witherspoon.
Funny.
Laura
Is everyone
Dern.
funny? Okay, keep going.
Laura Dern.
Serious.
All right, that's it. That's the game.
Wow, I'm actually shocked at my answers. It's
You
like
should be.
it's mostly funny games. Famous movie.
Wasn't that fun?
That was really fun, and and to start with Gennifer, because it's like this is my thing is I think her persona is like all funny, no serious, but I do
Right.
think that like where she excels and what she's kind of known for is serious, other than like maybe No Hard Feelings.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I was trying to like trick you. It was so fun
Yeah,
to
you're
think
a little
about
trickster.
people. Yeah. New Miss Thing
Yeah,
game.
funny
Funny
or
or serious.
Wow. Okay. Well, while I'm reeling from that, should we get into Diva Down?
We should. Thank you for entertaining that.
No, I loved it.
Yeah. So Diva Down obviously is our segment where, there's something happening in the culture at the moment that really needs our help. So we're here to offer it some unsolicited advice and hopefully get it back on its feet. This diva needs to get back on her feet.
Yes, and I would argue that this diva was never on her feet. I have a bone to pick with this diva.
I think this diva may have never taken her first steps.
This diva is, so I had a birthday party this past Saturday, and it's something that I normally don't do, but I felt this year I'm feeling festive, and so I'm going to invite some people. It was a murder mystery dinner party.
Yeah.
And the Diva Down, we should just get into it, is this masquerade game.
Masquerade murder game.
It was I don't know what company. It's probably best that we don't name the company because it was a terrible game.
I feel like it was probably gotten on like Temu.com or something.
It was like definitely the Temu version of murder mystery masquerade theme game kit.
Yeah. And I just want to point out there was not an ounce of humor in that game.
We thought it was like going to be, or at least what I thought it was going to be, everyone dressed up kind of like fun formal attire.
Yeah. I was wearing a tux.
Yes, I was wearing a tux. I was wearing a suit, and everyone had I had made masks for everyone, fun from Michael's.
Yeah. I mean the vibes were high, and a room full of, dare I say it, hilarious people.
Yes. And this is what the game is. The game is literally just people reading it's 100 one-woman monologues is what it is.
The
it's just
longest monologues.
Everyone reads 4 paragraphs for 2 minutes, and then you go to the next person. You do that 20 times.
Someone's slamming doors
entering
right
my
outside
apartment complex.
Yeah.
So you read your part for about 2 minutes, which is the longest 2 minutes of your life.
Minimum.
Then you have to do that for 19 other people for that round. There's so much information, you cannot keep track of it, and there is 4 rounds of it. I just want to say I am so grateful for my friends for the performances that they gave, not of the parts that they were given, but the performance of pretending to think that this to show me that it was a fun game, because they were all like, no, it's fun, and I was like, this is not fun. But I didn't want to offend my friend who was hosting to be like, like, what is this game? We're in school right now.
Right. And I want to point out that famously along the way, I was selected as the killer.
Yes.
By random chance. We were assigned letters, and then whoever had that letter that was randomly drawn from a hat ended up being the killer. So then I had a sort of game to play where like I was trying to deceive everyone. But where I kind of fall short and where I find issue with this game was that I could not hook into my character at all. So I don't think I was able to give it the gravitas needed to even, convey that I was anything other than confused.
Well, I don't think anyone who plays this game knows who their character is.
Sure.
This game, there is no rhyme or reason.
No rhyme or reason.
I don't understand how any person has ever recommended it. It was so long.
Yeah.
It's the opposite of what you want in a game, which is like quick, fast-paced, funny,
Funny.
easy to understand.
Yeah.
None of those adjectives could be described to this Masquerade Kit murder mystery game.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So I agree with all of your points. I have to add, this game needs an editor.
Yes.
This game needs somehow more instruction, less words.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I was shocked because it doesn't seem to have a clear name, so you don't actually quite know what it is. So maybe we got like the wrong game along the way. But when you sent me a screen grab so I could try and understand what the game was even named to prepare myself for this podcast, because I come prepared.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like it, but
Well,
yeah.
Well, I came off of playing like the ultimate role of my life this weekend as the killer at your party.
Yeah.
I was shocked to learn that the game was on sale for $46.
Yeah, but I think it was like from $50 to $46. I think it was like $4 off. Yeah.
What I'm saying is that is one of the most expensive things I've ever seen. That game was $46.
That game was yes.
For a few pamphlets. They don't even provide masks. They don't provide anything. They just provide books. Well, encyclopedias full
Bibles.
of monologues.
Truly, this is what I want to say is my advice to this game.
Yeah.
Is if you want to test how great your friends are for going along with and pretending that this is a fun game on, like, let's say a birthday party.
Sure.
And then this is a great game because you really are left feeling so grateful for so many friends for being so sweet and pretending to enjoy something for 3 hours.
Sure. Oh, longer than that.
Yes.
Much longer than that.
If you don't want to be cruel to your friends at a party, then my advice is never pick up this game ever in your life.
Sure, yeah.
And that's really all I have to say on the matter.
And
with that, we will see you next time.
Yeah, see ya. Bye. Miss Thing Podcast is created, executive produced, and hosted by Greg Trimmer and Tim Zintek.
It's produced and edited by Benji Simons, with cover art and additional creative support by Claude Zines.
Follow us on TikTok at Miss Thing Podcast and on Instagram at Miss Thing Pod.
New episodes drop every Tuesday. Watch on YouTube or listen on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Please subscribe, rate, and review, but only raves. Strictly 5 stars and above.
Follow Greg at Greg Trimmer and Tim at Tim_Zintek on all social media. BONK!